Grab a snack and spill the KT with me because 2025 has been a roller coaster for K-drama fans. We've already seen some unforgettable hits this year, but let's be real, not every drama lives up to the hype. Even with top stars like Lee Min-ho, Choi Woo-shik, Lee Dong-wook, and Lee Jae-wook, some projects just didn't deliver. So today we're breaking down 10 K-dramas that totally flopped in 2025. From messy storylines and weak chemistry to wasted potential, these dramas struggled to keep audiences hooked. Let's get into it. Number 10, My Sweet Mobster. Starting off the list is My Sweet Mobster, starring Tae-goo and Sun-hwa. The premise was fun and quirky. Our male lead, a reformed gangster trying to live a normal life, crosses paths with a lively children's content creator who shakes up his world. It had all the makings of a unique romantic comedy with a touch of edge, but here's the problem. The execution didn't live up to expectations. Viewers loved the idea of the tough guy with a soft heart trope, but the romance felt uneven and rushed. The chemistry between Tae-goo and Sun-hwa just wasn't strong enough to carry the story. Instead of feeling swoony, many moments came off awkward or flat. The pacing didn't help either, sometimes dragging on unnecessary side plots, other times skipping over important emotional beats that should have deepened the romance. Netizens also said the supporting characters were one note and the humor leaned too much on stereotypes. While it generated a bit of buzz at first, ratings dipped fast, averaging only around the 2% range. Audiences said the balance between comedy, romance, and the gangster backstory just didn't blend well, leaving My Sweet Mobster as one of the year's first disappointments. Number 9, Mellow Movie next is Mellow Movie, headlined by Choi Woo-shik and Park Bo-young. On paper, this was one of the most anticipated melodramas of the year. The story centers on Kyoo-hyung, a former extra-turned film critic obsessed with watching every movie ever made, and Kim Moo-bi, a woman who entered the film industry partly out of curiosity and partly out of resentment toward her movie-obsessed father. Their paths cross in unexpected ways, while a struggling songwriter and a screenwriter add layers to the narrative. It had everything going for it: a thoughtful premise, an all-star cast, and the promise of blending art with love. But in reality, Mellow Movie struggled to capture viewers' hearts. While Choi Woo-shik and Park Bo-young are both powerhouse actors, their chemistry felt lukewarm, leaving the central romance unconvincing. Instead of building an emotional slow burn, the show often felt like it was trying too hard to be deep and poetic. Critics pointed out that the writing relied heavily on long, drawn-out monologues about movies and life, which slowed the pacing to a crawl. Viewers expected heartfelt storytelling, but got endless metaphors instead. By mid-season, many fans admitted they were watching out of loyalty to the actors rather than the plot. The drama started at a modest 3% in ratings, but declined steadily. Online chatter labeled it beautifully shot, but painfully boring, making Mellow Movie one of the more disappointing projects of the year. Number 8, Our Movie Now. Let's talk about Our Movie, starring Namgoong and Yeo-bin. The drama followed a once successful film director struggling with creative burnout. He decides to remake one of his late father's old films, casting a terminally ill actress who sees the project as her last chance at stardom. It was an emotional setup that should have been a recipe for tears and memorable performances. Namgoong brought his usual gravitas, and Yeo-bin delivered a layered portrayal of a woman facing mortality with courage. But even with their best efforts, the drama fell short. The main issue? Pacing. Episodes were filled with long silences, repetitive flashbacks, and too much emphasis on film within a film sequences. Audiences said it often felt more like watching an art house documentary than a K-drama meant to tug at your heartstrings. By the finale, viewership had dropped to around 3%, with many saying the emotional beats didn't land as powerfully as they should have. Our movie had potential for a heartfelt tearjerker, but instead left audiences unmoved. Number 7, Potato Lab. Here's a drama that sounded quirky and fun, but ended up bland. Potato Lab starred Lee Sun-bin as a spirited potato researcher and Kang Tae-oh as the strict new director of her rural research center. It was meant to be a mix of science, romance, and comedy, with sparks flying between the free-spirited scientist and her uptight boss. But viewers quickly lost interest. The potato gimmick was cute at first, but wore thin by episode 3. The romance felt cookie-cutter, and despite the charm of both leads, their chemistry didn't spark enough to keep people invested. The humor also felt awkward. Jokes about potatoes and farming situations fell flat, and the show couldn't decide if it wanted to lean into being a quirky rom-com or a more serious slice-of-life drama. That tonal confusion left viewers unsatisfied. Ratings slipped below 2%, and international buzz was almost non-existent. Potato Lab could have been a refreshing countryside romance, but ended up being forgettable. Number 6. Kick, 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 Kick. With a name like Kick, 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 people were expecting a high-energy comedy. The drama starred Jin-hee and Lee Kyoo-hyung as two middle-aged men who decide to start fresh by opening a martial arts gym together after personal and professional failures. The setup had potential for humor, bromance, and even some heartfelt life lessons. Unfortunately, the show's execution was uneven. The humor leaned on slapstick and recycled gags, leaving many viewers unimpressed. Instead of sharp comedy, most episodes felt meandering and slow. Audiences were frustrated with how often the story repeated the same conflicts without resolution. The gym setting, which should have been full of quirky interactions and inspiring underdog stories, instead felt empty and underdeveloped. Ratings sank fast, hitting as low as 0.3% for the finale, making it one of the lowest-rated dramas of 2025. Despite a talented cast, Kick, 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 Kick just didn't land the punches it promised. Number 5. Motel California. Next up is Motel California, starring Lee Se-young and Na In-woo. The drama told the story of a woman who returns to her rural hometown after years away, reconnecting with her first love while confronting her past in a rundown motel. It sounded like it could have been a heartfelt second-chance romance, but the execution was painfully slow. Episodes dragged with repetitive dialogue and endless scenes that added little to the main story. Viewers said it felt like the drama was stalling for time instead of moving the romance forward. The chemistry between Lee Se-young and Na In-woo also felt stiff. What should have been an emotional, nostalgic reunion ended up looking more like two acquaintances trying to act in love. Even fans of Lee Se-young admitted this wasn't her strongest project. Despite initial curiosity, the drama only managed an average of 4.5% in ratings. In the end, Motel California was remembered more for its missed opportunities than its romance. Number 4. Crushology 101. This youth romance starred Jeong-eui as a college student determined to only date handsome men after a humiliating breakup. She soon finds herself surrounded by multiple attractive suitors, including Chae-min and Joon-young, each with their own quirks and flaws. At first, fans were excited for a bubbly campus rom-com, but Crushology 101 quickly fell into cliché territory. The love polygon felt forced and dragged on endlessly, with the same recycled jealousy and misunderstandings week after week. Instead of showing growth, the characters felt shallow and one-dimensional. The supposed romantic tension often came across as cringy rather than cute. Even the big dramatic moments lacked emotional weight, leaving audiences disengaged. Ratings slid under 1% by the finale, making it one of the weakest youth dramas in years. Crushology 101 proves that good-looking actors alone aren't enough to carry a drama without a solid story. Number 3. Spring of Youth. Now for Spring of Youth, starring Haejin, Park Ji-hoo, and Lee Sung-hyub. The story followed a former idol who enrolls in university after being expelled from his group, where he meets a gifted but troubled musician. Along with friends, they form a band and chase their dreams. It was supposed to be an inspiring youth drama about friendship, healing, and music. But viewers quickly noticed how formulaic it was. Every plotline felt borrowed from past youth dramas. From the misunderstood idol to the angsty band practice fights, there was nothing fresh. The editing was also criticized for being choppy, making it hard to connect emotionally with the characters. Even the music, which should have been the soul of the series, didn't leave a lasting impression. Ratings barely touched 1%, and the show struggled to trend online. In the end, Spring of Youth blended into the crowd instead of standing out. Number 2. Divorce Insurance. When divorce insurance was announced, fans were intrigued. It starred Lee Dong-wook as a thrice-divorced man and Lee Joo-bin as a newly single insurance underwriter. Together with a quirky team, including Lee Kwang-soo and Lee Da-hee, they come up with the concept of selling divorce insurance. It was bold, fresh, and full of potential. Unfortunately, the execution missed the mark. The tone swung wildly between wacky comedy and heavy, serious conversations about marriage and failure. That inconsistency left audiences unsure whether to laugh or cry. The romance between Lee Dong-wook and Lee Joo-bin felt underdeveloped, and many viewers complained that the ensemble cast was underused, especially Lee Kwang-soo, who could have carried the comedic side if given stronger material. By the end, ratings were just over 1%. Fans agreed that divorce insurance had an original concept, but failed to balance humor and heart. Number 1, When Stars Gossip. And finally, the biggest flop of 2025 so far, When Stars Gossip. With Lee Min-ho in the lead, expectations were sky high. The drama followed Gong Ryong, an obstetrician who becomes a space tourist to secretly complete a mysterious mission. At the space station, he meets Eve Kim, played by Gong Hyo-jin, a brilliant scientist leading the mission. On paper, it was groundbreaking, sci-fi, romance, and 2 megastars. But in reality, the story was confusing, slow, and emotionally flat. The romance felt forced, the plot meandered, and the supposed chemistry between Lee Min-ho and Gong Hyo-jin just wasn't convincing. Audiences also criticized the CGI and production design, saying the space setting looked cheap compared to the show's massive budget. Instead of feeling immersive, the visuals often took viewers out of the story. Ratings tumbled from its big premiere, finishing at only 2.5%. For a project that was hyped as the next big global hit. When Stars Gossip became a cautionary tale that even A-list names and huge budgets can't save a weak script. And that's a wrap on the K-drama flops of 2025. Not every drama can be a hit, but it's always fascinating to see what worked and what didn't. Did you watch any of these? Which one disappointed you the most, and is there a flop you think I missed? Let's spill the KT in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more K-drama breakdowns every week.